Hello, I'm Aubrey Shepherd, and this is the 23rd of July 2012, and I guess I'll have to show pictures again. Don't know how to talk without some pictures to look at. There is a sunflower up on Rocher Heights, and you see that new road in front of it? Well, we'll talk about that more. This is just off the edge there in the edge of the woods, and of course that's what I considered a very beautiful dragonfly. That's Liatris, and that's also on Rocher Heights, but it's the area selected by the engineer designing the project to go up there, the new student apartments on top of Rocher Hill, for preservation that we'd requested, hoping it wasn't required by the park department or by the landscape architect, but a little bit of prairie was preserved up there. They've got nice signs up there: blasting zone, warning signal. You got 1 minute, if you hear 1 minute series of long whistles and 5 minute blah blah, just get out of the way. Anyhow, this was Sunday work. There were two city trucks and a machine up there, and I'm not sure how many people, workers, but I could only see them from a distance down there and on the street just adjacent to the project. You wouldn't recognize this hill if you hadn't been up there in a few months. But anyhow, water was pouring down the street. It's coming from where they're working, and I couldn't decide without going up there and getting my feet wet. Actually, that wasn't it. I just don't want to bother the workers, and there might be some blasting about to happen. But anyhow, you can see it was city trucks on a Sunday afternoon, and that was just yesterday. And they were allowing that muddy runoff with gravel coming out of that hole they were digging in up there. And I couldn't decide if the water was from a spring. That hill is known to have several springs underneath it at the edges. And you can see how much mud it took down there at some point. So I'm not sure, just was the only muddy place in town maybe, because except in the stream where this goes at that moment. See how it got off over in the yard of these existing apartments there on what's now called Stadium Drive. It's been extended to take over what used to be Paris Avenue. And you can see the mud right up on the patio area of those apartments and all the way down the street. And you see that's MLK at the bottom of the hill. And across the street, another source of mud quite frequently, we have had rain, has been from the dig up there for the high school work. And you see there is where it gets down to the town branch, which right there has just come across under MLK from over behind the old Carlson Terrace property, and all the way up from water comes from both sides of the mountain up there and from Cleveland Street. Now that's looking back up Paris Avenue, now known as an extension of Stadium Drive, and that's Indian Trail, the street that comes in. And there's what happens when it goes in the creek. It turns the creek yellow muddy, and that creek is actually town branch of the West Fork of the White River. It runs near my home. So you can see there's the machine on a zoom shot from down at the bottom of the hill. But I never did find out what those guys were doing, and whatever it was kind of messy. You can see where vehicles have left there and left tracks at MLK. And you can see the potential runoff. If we had a good rain, it runs right through the silt fence. Those things don't work. That's at 11th Street. The water wasn't running enough. There wasn't enough flow for it to get as muddy down there. But obviously you can see that because of the various sources of silt pollution, the stream's not quite clear. Well, Nagasaki and Hiroshima Day is coming up, and we want to mention that again. That's on the 5th of August, and it will be at the town center off the Fell Square. Till next time, I'll be Shepherd asking you to do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure, and the woods green. See ya. This is Aubrey Shepherd recording on the 23rd of July 2012, and I want to show pictures from the Fell Square and some activities and people in Fayetteville over the last few days. Okay, let's start off with, I forgot, I stuck a little bit of destructive or constructive matter here. They're trying to reinforce the trail edge, and that machine is right above what's normally Tanglewood Branch. They've got it routed practically underground there so they can work on that with that big old machine. You can see there's just a little flow. The reason there's a little flow coming down there, and it looks clear up that way, is because that water comes from underground in many cases. Springs that were up around Dixon Street area and probably other areas nearby. There's a tiny, what may be a hair streak butterfly. It's about thumbnail size or fingernail size. And there's a larger swallowtail butterfly. It's on button bushes. And of course, this is actually out at a lake. This button bush is growing in the riparian area. And that one has a skinny moth on it, one of those that doesn't look like a moth. And there is Lake Wilson, where we made those flower pictures, and that's almost the first water supply, the first water supply lake created by Fayetteville in the past. And now it's a city park. You can go out there to fish, but you have to get a permit. That's Buttonbush at sunset time. And you can see there were storm clouds. That was actually Thursday on the 19th in the afternoon, I believe. Anyway, it was awfully stormy, but we didn't get any rain. That's on Saturday, the 20th, and that's Miller Williams, a world-renowned poet who's lived in Fayetteville for decades, taught at the university. And there are some of his friends and his wife at right back seated, and her name's Jordan. And you can see a lot of other people in there you know from around town. And, it's always a happy group over there, and they're the kind of folks that are probably solving all the world's problems every Saturday down there. And that's only early when there's shade. Okay, there's a table for President Obama and Vice President Biden, people touting them for re-election. I guess you guess that's probably some local Democrats. And there's Mayor Jordan talking to one of his constituents, seems to be one of his friends. And there's Dick Bennett, who's often seen here doing a short take, and over the years has been a major contributor to activities of public access. And there's Mayor Jordan talking with the head of the election commission in Fayetteville or Washington County. And it just happens that he was one of Dick Bennett's students years ago. And so they had some interesting little short stories about that period in their lives. And of course, Dr. Bennett was one of my professors in graduate school at the university in English, and that was the first few years he had come here to teach. And what do we see? Some more folks talking to the mayor on the square, and just this is later in the morning on Saturday. Now this is Stephen Hunter, no relation to Carl Hunter, who did books on wildflowers. But Stephen has done this wonderful book with photos from Mount Magazine, which is the highest mountain in Arkansas. And he lives at Fort Smith and has been driving there for years. So he's put a collection together of his photos and has a great book for sale at Nightbird. And again, Hiroshima Nagasaki Day is coming up on the 5th. It's by the time you hear this on the air, I guess that'll be the coming Sunday. So until next time, this is Aubrey Shepherd asking you, please do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure, and the woods green. Yes.